one of the books I love is by a guy called Adam Grant, and it's called Give and Take. And it's a really useful, just a mantra for understanding how to show up in the world. He looked at a bunch of people and he said, "Look, there are three types of people in the world. There are the givers, there are the takers, and then there are kind of, I can't remember the language he uses, but it's kind of like you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, sort of thing. So kind of mutual exchange." And he looked at across all sorts of industries, and he kind of looked at what type of person was in the top 10% and what type of person was in the bottom 10%. So if you think of the people who are in the bottom 10% of most industries, you got givers and takers, and you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Which do you think are the ones that were consistently in the bottom 10%?
The takers.
Actually, it was the givers,
Ah,
because they were like, they kind of depleted themselves, and they're just, they're
yeah.
kind of like, they got walked on by everybody and everybody took
Yep.
advantage of them, and they ended up being martyrs to the cause, but actually
Yep.
not succeeding. So they were the people who succeeded least. Who do you think succeeded most? Who were the ones that consistently showed up in the top bit?
I'd say the mix.
Well, funnily enough, it was the givers again, but a different
Ah,
type of giver, because there's a way of giving where you don't deplete yourself. You don't give it all away, but you act from a spirit of generosity. And I mean, I'm not really a believer in karma as a kind of spiritual thing, but I am a believer in that you can build a reputation for generosity. And if you've got that kind of open heart, good stuff tends to show up.
yep.
Um, and so what Adam Grant did was kind of say, look, there are two types of givers. There are the ones that deplete themselves and end up abused and used by people. And there are the ones that know how to give and still look after themselves in the right way, and they're the ones that really tend to flourish.
Yep.
So there's a way of practicing generosity and kindness, which actually connects back to curiosity, because a generosity is when you choose to see the best in the other person. It's not just giving stuff away, it's also
Yep.
seeing the best in the other person.
Yep.
So if you go back to that conversation around, wool and sheep versus Australian consumer, what if everybody saw the best of each other and assumed positive intent? How would that shift the dynamic between those two different sectors that kind of rub up against each other, or might rub up against each other?
That would be massive. That would be a
Yeah.
massive change.